Greetings, everyone. As you can see by the sweater, I am still in day one of recording, although this is technically the third episode of Into the Meaning. Today, I'm going to be diving into a track that I've heard is the best on the album. So this one is called Bright Room. In fact, when I first kind of came up with the concept of even starting this type of music, this kind of electronically infused piano music, this was the first one that I had written. And I was going to make it a single. But then the floodgates opened and new work started coming out. So I tabled the idea of doing a single and just was, I did an album instead. Let's play 15 seconds and then jump into how the idea came about and what it means. So, as I mentioned in the previous episode, shattered expectations lead to better art. I think that a sign of growth and a sign of potential growth, I should say, in any human being is the level of self-criticism that you hold. I think that a healthy level of self-criticism leads to a more refined art potential. In the sense that one has to constantly battle that inner critic because you don't want that inner critic to overcome. When it overcomes, you get steeped in darkness, you get steeped in cynicism, you get your art becomes this kind of crying out against the oppressive nature of reality. You become a victim and an angry, rebellious soul looking to kind of cut against the harshness that has cut you and left you for dead, rather than someone who is trying to reconcile and overcome those pains and heal from them. That's ultimately what can happen if you allow that inner critic to win. And so Bright Room is basically a triumph in its simplicity, because it's a recognition that in myself, I've finally arrived in a bright room. The bright room is basically the truest place of love that I can hold in myself. As a human being, to facilitate love for another person is, I think, one of the greatest things we can do, especially during times of hopelessness. But there's this image that is in my mind of, I think it was like I don't want to include it because it's rather graphic, but it was a collapsed building that happened in a earthquake, I think in Ecuador. I don't remember the origin. I just remember the image, but it was of a father who was holding his son, and they were dead in the rubble of this home. And it struck me as an artist, as a human being. It struck the love in myself, because that child knew that they were loved, even at the end. They knew that they could feel their father there, and that father had what he loved in his arms. And I feel like that is absolutely beautiful. It moves me even as I speak, because it's human. It's human to love. So Bright Room is basically a recognition of the fact that we are born to love, that we have this propensity and this inclination to love within ourselves. And it's a reflection of what that bright room in me sounds like. My early upbringing was extremely dark, mentally. I went through a very tumultuous time when I was probably 15 through 20. That included several stays at mental hospitals. Well, actually one stay, but for a long time. But these are things that I don't technically share with people, but I'll share with you. And it's because of that voice of the inner critic. It's because I wasn't what I wanted to be. I wanted to be better with music. I wanted to be better, and I knew that I wasn't. I knew that I wasn't developed, and I was angry and frustrated at myself. And so that desire to grow and to change instead became a desire to hate and control. So, especially if you're young, if you're caught in this kind of, in the weeds of growth and you're not yet there, take heart in knowing that one day you will arrive, and also take heart in knowing that that desire, that anger, that frustration is actually the momentum that will drive you to a sense of growth that you can't possibly comprehend right now. It's funny, I look back at who I used to be as a young adult, and even hearing some of the tracks that I had written, I'm so impressed with myself at that age, because when I was in the thickness of it, when you're in that depressive state, when you're in that state of, captivity to that voice of condemnation, to that voice of you should be better, you're not good enough. It's a tunnel, and you can't see even what you're doing. But in hindsight, going back and listening to those tracks, I mean, my God, some of the songs that I had written, like at 19, I was absolutely victorious, but I had thought of myself in this horrible light. So how you think of yourself really does play a big part of who you are and who you will be. So don't fear the condemnation, but don't harbor it. Don't allow the condemnation to overload your sense of identity, because there is a bright room for you to discover in yourself. And eventually you'll get there. Eventually the doors will open, the growth will happen, and it is born through pain. But the very nature within you that is pushing out against who you are, as you kind of navigate through those waters of, teenage years and angst or whatever it is, that's the very thing that promises you that it will happen. I think one of the greatest tragedies of human existence is the kind of person who never changes. It's like I just want to listen to this band and how they sound my entire life and have them on repeat. To me, it's beautiful in a very simple way, but some of us are born to the depth of change, and we yearn for that in seasons that it's not yet due. But that yearning is evidence of the fact that we're called to be more than who we are. So hold to that hope, and don't let those feelings overwhelm you, and don't do anything rash, especially during this season where we're all going stir crazy. Don't do anything rash that could harm your future self from being victorious, because you are already, and that voice is evidence of the fact. Anyways, Bright Room, I like I said, I basically started writing in a new way. My ability to play banjo and guitar was inhibited because I had tendinitis. Got that from putting on my own roof, but that's another story. And it flared back up. So I couldn't play music, and I was going crazy because I needed to, that desire to build something, to create something was within me. So I sat down at the piano and actually was talking to a great mentor and friend, Seth. He worked on a track, Whole Heartbreak, which I'll unpack after the album. But he told me about a few plugins to get for Logic, specifically the Wave Audio plugins. If you're new to music, if you want to try to make stuff that I've made when you hear the album, do it. It changed my art. So I downloaded those and instantly got hit with this new genre almost of what I could do. And so Bright Room is the first of those. Upbeat, electronic, kind of a dance song. But the chorus speaks to that promise of growth in us all, don't you ever give up is what I sing. And that's the key to life. In order to be victorious, we need to not give up, not only on ourselves, but on those that we love. And you need to hold to that love even into the grave. It's kind of the concept of bloom. You need to love someone beyond the breakup. You need to love, and that's not a healthy thing to say, and I don't mean it in that kind of way. I mean it in the way that you're not looking at them while you're in the relationship as someone who might disappear. You're looking at them and you're treating them as if they're it. When you have that lover's sight, it leads to the lover's heart, which is the pain that grows us all. It's the lover's heart is in that photo of the father holding his son, on display for us all, in the earthquake and the collapse. So to love someone truly, gets us closer to that bright room. It gets us closer to where we should be in our lives. Not in a place of condemnation, not in a place of, man, I want to be better, but in a place of recognizing that we are born to love. Love sets us free, and one day we'll get it right. So anyways, yeah, Bright Room. It's upbeat. I've heard it said that it's, the most relatable because it's not really intrusive with the lyrics or anything like that. There's not a lot of heart calling shouts or anything like that, but it's very to the point, that love can be found in a bright room. So hold on to that, and I hope that your day is going well, and I hope that this video has treated you well. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want me to review anything. If you have any art you want me to take a look at, you can find me on Instagram at Scatterleaf. If you're into poetry, that's where that stuff is at. Otherwise, Instagram, Noah Rauch Music, Rauch. DM me, PM me, whatever it is, and we'll make it happen. Rock on. Stay safe. Thanks.